thanks everyone for coming along. There's more seats at the front, so come on and fill them out. Thank you so much. This is the August event for the Aus DeFi Association. We're over here at Stone and Chalk. You guys might not have been to this one. This is the Haymarket edition. It's part of Tech Central, a big kind of startup ecosystem from New South Wales and Sydney in particular. Before we begin, I'd like to just start by acknowledging the traditional custodians and owners of the land on which we gather today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. Hands up here if it's your first time to one of these events. Okay, a good number of you, which is great. There's always like new faces. The best part of all of this is the networking. I should introduce myself. My name is Mark. I'm from the Australian DeFi Association. I act as the president, and I also work for a company called NotCentralised that does a lot of work in the blockchain and AI space. We are here at Stone and Chalk. It's a great co-working space. They had space down at Wynyard before and here, and now everything's merged down here. We've got Roche from the team here. Just put your hand up. So if you guys are looking for co-working space and just networking and events, this is a really good venue for all of that. So we're going to do a few updates. I'm going to bring Lisa on, and then we're going to have some other presenters. Stick around because at the end, there's like a major announcement that we're going to be presenting. So keen to share that with you guys. Just some quick updates to begin with. QR code obligatory. It's got the, the link tree with the YouTube, the LinkedIn, the Twitter, the newsletters, the events pages for this. We've got some updates to the website that you guys are going to get to try out live here because it does work on mobile, I think. So we'll showcase that, but getting it more interactive and, putting a lot more care back into the association. We'll bring that back up in a little bit. So let's just click here if this works. What is going on? Why has it stopped working? Okay. Looks like it was working and then it just stopped. Hang on a second. Let's just try again. Slideshow. Okay. So just highlights from some events that we've been at. So there was the Bybit and Independent Reserve events from last month that you might have seen. Some of you may have attended that. That was at Scuderia, which is just in Woolloomooloo. So some great networking and stuff there from folks that you might recognize on screen. A really good venue. I did not walk away with one of the Lambos, unfortunately, but I'll work on that next time. Maybe I should have bought at the bottom, but here we are. And then there was also, Digital Economy Council of Australia. Hands up who's not heard of DECA, D-E-C-A. Hands up. Okay, people have heard it. Okay. Honest few, thank you. Digital Economy Council of Australia, they are the premier or the peak industry body acting as a liaison between government and the exchanges and the different participants in the space. They have got politicians on side, and we'll talk more about Stand with Crypto later on. But the idea for this is to keep on engaging with the politicians to get favorable outcomes for the blockchain space, because we all here, or most of us here, should be believers of this space and the technology that is provided there, as well as the investment upside that you can get from this. And then there's going to be a competition to win this book from Amanda Wick, who is she's a former federal prosecutor. She was on the January 6th committee, so really interesting kind of person and knowledgeable. And she's going to be she's providing this book that we can give away to members. So stick around and I'll talk to you about what that competition is. She writes about her experiences in the space working in crypto. She runs the Association for Women in Crypto, which is an international organization. And then our friends at Red Belly, they've opened up a community DAO. So if anyone wants to know more about that, hit us up. At Red Belly Network, they're opening up, just a way that you can get involved in their community. So they're an L1 founded out of the University of Sydney and the CSIRO. They're part of Project Acacia, and we'll get some updates on that, the Reserve Bank of Australia's pilot project there. And I'll quickly just go through this quickly before we get to Lisa, but there's some updates to the website. So if you haven't seen it, this is defi.org.au. We did an overhaul about 6 months ago and are continuing to add to that. Some of the things are that you get interactive podcasts. So we're doing this Blockchain for Good podcast with Lisa and the team at Fableration. As part of that, you get to actually see and interact with these whilst you're watching. So you can watch, it's just linked to YouTube, but you can click buttons like the frequently asked questions thing and get an FAQ on that. You can even ask questions of the AI. So whatever was said in the transcript, if you want it explained, we can use AI for that. And that's sitting on the website for free access for anyone that's on there. Other things are that you might hear something today that is difficult to understand or wasn't explained very well. I mean, we've got Arturo on later wherever he is, and I definitely need AI to explain some of the things my colleagues speaks about. But we've got some tools that can help you out, whether it's just explaining certain concepts and you ask the AI to explain it, or you might even chuck in a whole article that you might have seen from somewhere and just get it to explain it in different levels. Here it's explaining it like I'm a beginner, but even the explain it like I'm 5 can be really useful. It does talk about blocks and, connecting them together like Lego blocks. Probably simplistic for the folks in here, but it's really useful to have AI helping us out with blockchain. And then a new thing that we're starting, and I'll get you guys to check this out later on, and we'll go through like a full-on demo, but you can sign up now if you want at defi.org.au. When you go to the sign-in page and sign up as a free member, you're going to get a new experience on mobile and web where for the there's AI stuff in there. So we're going to throw in some research kind of tools and stuff in there, some research documents, things that we're seeing online, and events as well. So here's the AI side of things. So we're going to throw in some research papers to make it easier for you to take a look at and understand. And when there is events like the one today, you're going to see who the speakers are and be able to click on their profiles. You're also going to be able to see and ask questions as well during this event. And either we'll get it answered during the event or post. So for any of the speakers that are here, but you can try that out at that website there. And then thanks to all of our sponsors is getting jam-packed on screen there, but that's okay. But Lisa, are you there? Are you still there?
I'm here, and I deliberately just lined myself up under a beautiful mural. I'm in Brisbane for Karen Cullen's event. We're out here in the wild educating people on crypto investment, but not financial advice. And I'm super excited to beam into my Xmark for that update. Everybody's probably curious about Fableration, and I found out something really fascinating about the word Fableration today, which is a bit of a mouthful in English, and it translates to UDAO, YUDAO in Chinese, and it is a bit of a blend of the Chinese-Australian project. We're all based in Australia, but I really enjoy working with a team where when we translate that word, it really stands for our whole industry. Just to be really quick, because I appreciate there's lots of new people in the room. We've got a couple of really amazing things coming up. Mark was talking about Amanda Wick. Fableration is a creative writing program, platform that we're really trying to change the game in the economics of publishing or really the creative economy. And one of the things we're doing is using blockchain for that payment rail. And sorry, it's just saying press the button, the payment rail and how to create atomic finance across all and many areas, but starting with an industry where there's a really big problem, which is publishing and writing and the creator economy. So I'm super excited about that. With Amanda Wick, we're going to create a book club for the beta test of the platform. And we're in Amanda will probably kill me for mentioning it out loud because we're just in the final stages of organizing it. So if anybody does miss out on Amanda Wick's book and you want to get involved in the book club, please reach out to me. Then the other really exciting thing we have is a couple of Bitcoin to give away, and that's across 3 areas. There's a writer's short story competition, which Mark will tell you all about, and the entries have to be in by the end of September, so there is still heaps of time. I'm really overwhelmed by the number of people that have signed up to that. I think we're, someone was saying today, we're one of the most successful projects in the world in sign-ups and social media interaction and things like that, because obviously having a Bitcoin to give away, but also we really want to give it away. To make it sort of equitable across our industry, we've got a Bitcoin to give away for readers. So there's some detail to come out around that. And then we'll have a super exciting hackathon. As you know, when you have a small team, it's hard to organize logistics. So we've probably been talking about the hackathon for half a year and not done a lot. But exciting to announce that Mark's going to help us get organized on that. And even just speaking about it, we've got about 1,000 people who've registered interest. So we're committed to getting that up and running. I don't want to take up too much time because I've never been to that venue, but it looks amazing. Thank you to everyone. Mark also said I should speak about a little stealth project we've got, which I think is going to be incredible, which is called Unbound. And I don't know, is Connor Lane in the house tonight?
Connor, Connor's not here, and we'll tell him off. We'll tell him off for not being here.
We'll tell him off. Yeah, because he could have told you all about Unbound, but I'm sure in the next couple of events we'll be talking about Unbound, which is we've done some game change. I'm just going to swear and say game changing shit. So I've just been at CoinFest, and there's so many exciting projects in the world, and it's really good to live in Australia and to actually be part of some that are measuring up globally, which I'm sure we all are. So you'll hear a lot more about Unbound coming up. And I'll get upstairs to the Brisbane event and love the third eye right above my head. And everybody have a great night. I wish I was there. Like Sydney's so much better than Brisbane. But, we've got to get the Bris Vegas folks on our page. So have fun, and I'll see you all soon.
Lisa, take care. All right, I'll go back to the share screen. So really interesting stuff there from Lisa, and it really is. There's a Bitcoin so the publishing industry, it's threefold, right? It is the readers, it's the publishers, it's the writers, and each area there is maybe not for the publishers because they're trying to do something there to kind of upend the space a little bit, because if you think about it, it's the whole delay in payments, blockchain making it instant. If you're buying a book for a writer, and it's like at an airport, instead of them waiting days for royalties, they will actually get it far sooner, instantaneously, atomic even. So really interesting stuff. We'll have more notes about the competition. There is literally that writing competition. If you go to fableration.com, let's see if so here, this is like one of the competitions. So 100 USDC daily, 6-word stories. Like, those 6-word stories where it's like, went to Meetup, it was great. That's literally, a 6-word story. Obviously make it a lot better than that. I work with Arturo, not fun. That's something as well. Like, so 6-word stories, they're doing it daily. I think 2 winners a day. So 100 USDC split between them maybe, or something like that. Yeah, 50 USDC each, as you can see. And then also this world's richest short story competition, $200,000 prize pool. That's pretty damn amazing for writing short stories. Check out the competition. Go to fableration.com for that. Get your creative hats on. Hopefully someone from this room wins. I'll go back so we've got the speakers today. So we had Lisa. We'll have Arturo on later. Anna's going to talk about some research next. Ian's going to provide some updates from BLOCKv's ecosystem. Block owner news, Jonathon and Stephen from Kraken, and sponsor updates and more networking, which is the most fun thing about all of this. If you've never been to one of these, we really value the networking. If you have trouble connecting with some people, let us know. Arturo, he's my co-founder here, put your hand up just so people know who I make fun of. We have been in the space for 4 and a bit years, and it is probably being tech people coming from the investment banking space. This is the far most open, most collaborative, most engaging space, and we are changing the world literally with blockchain technology. So it's really cool stuff. I'll bring that up later. Fableration. Let's get to the next speaker. Anna, thank you so much for waiting. Cheers. So you just go wait for I blame. Very good.
Thanks, Mark, and lovely to meet you guys tonight. Some of you I've met before, and it was lovely to meet a few more of you in the last, half an hour. I'm keen to stick around to meet more of you. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Anna Vennonen, and I'm a research consultant at CoreData. So we are a market research firm. We've been around about 23 years. And we focus on the financial services. So what I'm going to present to you tonight is a bit of the findings from our recent research on cryptocurrency. So this will come at it from a bit more of a investment perspective as opposed to sort of the builder perspective that you see here a lot. So a little bit different tonight, but hopefully different means interesting. Basically, to give you an idea of the study that we ran earlier in the year, we designed a study that would collect a representative sample of the Australian population by age and gender with 740 responses. And then through that, we were able to gauge crypto adoption rates and then look at 311 responses from the cryptocurrency users themselves. And that's where we got into the nitty-gritty about how they're engaging with cryptocurrency as an asset class. So through this research, we found that 12% of Australians hold cryptocurrency. And as you can see on the screen, that's actually now just overtaken ETFs, or basically on par with ETFs, which is, as you all know, quite a mainstream investment. So that really speaks to how much this area has grown. And when you look at the portion of the population that are investors, so having an investment portfolio, it's actually at 38%, which is why I guess traditional financial institutions are starting to take this more seriously, particularly the sort of wealth management and advice space. So as you all probably have guessed, it's a male-dominated field. It's still that way. So we ran the same question in 2023, and it's basically on par with what it was then. And when you're looking at age, it's majority people in their 30s who are investing. But we also see those older age groups as well. So when we're looking at income, this is an interesting one. We see it sort of start to rise off around the 75,000 mark, but then you see the highest rates in that income bracket of 150,000 to 250,000. And that really speaks to, these people having, one, they have discretionary income, but they've also at that stage in their life where they have the freedom to basically choose what they're investing in. They're able to take on risk and that kind of thing. So it makes sense that we see the most of it in that area. And you can see that again reflected in the right, with a little bit higher rates among those people who are solely responsible for their finances, i.e. they don't have to answer to anyone else, so they can go into those areas. Now, when we're thinking about engagement, by and large, the crypto investors at the moment are still very highly engaged. So that speaks to, I guess, this being a relatively young asset class. So it hasn't yet reached that sort of part where it's set and forget for everybody. But so then moving into the engagement with different asset classes, we see the majority of crypto holders these days are actually invested in multiple asset classes. There's only just 10% who are only holding crypto. And if you see here on the right hand side for you guys, now these are the asset classes that they're holding alongside cryptocurrency, and this largely reflects what we see in your general investor. There's a little bit of over-indexing in gold, which some of you might have guessed because there's a little bit of overlap between gold bucks and Bitcoin maxis, but by and large, it's relatively the same. But something interesting that came out of this research is that 1 in 5 holders actually began investing in cryptocurrency and then moved into other asset classes. So what that tells us, it's acting basically as a gateway asset. And this is particularly true when we look at the younger generations. So it really speaks to how there's changing expectations around how people are engaging in the investment space when they enter through cryptocurrency markets as opposed to something more traditional. And that can sort of have flow-on effects for the next 20 years or so as these people continue to engage. As you might have expected, Bitcoin is the highest held, but we also see altcoins up there quite highly, particularly among men. They tend to be a bit more adventurous with the asset class selection. And then in terms of predictions, most of the respondents had a very positive sentiment towards Bitcoin and to crypto markets in general for the year of 2025, expecting it to sort of have strong performance compared to the stock market, and generally wanting to keep investing in this space or at least keep their holdings the same. So just 5% sort of were wanting to reduce their allocation, which speaks to the commitment among cryptocurrency users, basically. So another area that we're looking at quite a lot at CoreData, because we do so much work with financial advisors, is that kind of intersection there. So we see that cryptocurrency users, about a third of them are actually engaged with an advisor at the moment. And that's a little bit lower than you'd expect for a general investor. You'd probably be looking at 40%, but it's really close. And basically, it's an interesting area because there's this huge gap there. Right now, it's very difficult for financial advisors to actually provide advice on cryptocurrency. And a key reason for that is that they can't get it on their approved product list easily. There's a lot of barriers there. For instance, having a track record, that's something that the licensees really want to see. And of course, that's hard with a relatively young asset class. So all sorts of, checks and balances there that are in the works. But if there is more demand for cryptocurrency from, high net worth and younger investors, it's definitely an area that we'll probably see change in. So at the moment, just 11% actually provide it on their approved product list. But the majority of them are not providing advice. And we actually spoke to some of the financial advisors, and it's very tricky for them to actually even talk about this because it's quite a uncharted territory for them. But also it's just, there's a lot of the compliance system that they need to make sure that they're working within. So when there's clarity around regulation, that's a good thing for this space from that perspective. And I mean, we see this in the demand. There's 70% of cryptocurrency users are actually interested in receiving that advice. And when we ask them what kind of advice they want to see, the majority wanted help with their tax. They wanted to understand different yield, how they can manage that also with their tax. But there was something else they thought was really important, and that was actually that the financial advisor had personal experience investing in cryptocurrency. And this is something we're starting to see now. So 21% of financial advisors are actually investing in cryptocurrency sort of in their free time. And then you've got another 13% that are considering it. So that again speaks to that gap where there's that sort of blockage there. Now, we also wanted to understand a bit about superannuation. I'm sure many of you will have heard about AMP and how they made a very modest allocation of 0.05%, which is 27 million into Bitcoin futures late last year. So we wanted to get a sense of what are people's opinions of this. And basically, the majority of cryptocurrency holders support it. They sort of see this as a future area and don't want to miss out on the gains that can be made there. But they're also very cautious. They want to know that the people doing this are know what they're doing basically and can manage that risk. And you do see differing opinions. So some of them, they want to do the investing, but they want to look after it. They don't want to trust their super fund to it. But on the other hand, we see among those cryptocurrency users who have self-managed super funds, a large portion of them are actually investing in cryptocurrency through it, so 41%. And when we asked them whether it was a driver to actually setting it up, many of them said it was a factor. So just over half said it was a factor. And, for 1 in 5, it was the main driver. So that's certainly an area that we want to be watching closely as well. Given that mainstream super funds are probably going to take a lot longer in that space. So we've got a crypto white paper coming out fairly soon. So if you would like to scan the barcode, then I will send that one to you. It's free. So no strings attached there. Encourage you to do it. And I've also got my email address there on screen. So please reach out to me if you've got any questions, thoughts that you want to discuss more about the stats or anything that sort of this brings to mind. But anyway, thank you very much for having me share, and look forward to meeting you more after the event.
So I just bringing on props on stage because that's always fun.
Could I get Arturo to the principal's office? Thank you. Right, you want to grab a chair? It's in a chair. It's one of these. It's one of those. Hang on. Let's get you mic'd up. It's you. Chris, second mic going on. All good? Is that a nod? Okay, thumbs up, even better. Oh my gosh, what's going on here? Hang on a second. All right. Okay, cool. I'm just going to do this. So, leaving that up there, definitely please reach out, network, question. There are a whole lot of interesting insights from that research. So we're going to dive into more of that. I am sure. Watch out for a podcast coming soon to near you. The guy to my left, your right, is Arturo. He is an interesting specimen. He comes from the world of quants, from the traditional kind of banking space, a statistician, a mathematician, a magician, because he makes things disappear. But the interesting thing is that working in the blockchain space beside him and AI, you see interesting crossovers. One of the projects that we're working on, actually, I'll get a hands up question here. Who has heard of Project Acacia? Hands up. Okay, a good number of you. For those that haven't, the Reserve Bank of Australia is testing wholesale CBDC plus tokenized other assets and stuff, not just CBDC. And they just recently announced, and they're doing this in partnership with the Digital Finance Cooperative Research Centre, a mouthful, hence DFCRC. The DFCRC and RBA announced the 24 pilot and proof of concept. So I think it's like 9. No. Okay. But yeah, tell us more in words.
It's really interesting because it's becoming a project about fixed income, almost only fixed income, and we have a bunch of different banks. We have a few non-banks, and funnily enough, almost every single one of these participants is showcasing some way in which we can make the fixed income markets better. And I think that it's important to ask ourselves why, and that'll perhaps answer questions with regards to what other things you could consider tokenizing and why. Because we've gone through the cycles where we're tokenizing everything from watches to Lambos to some stupid idea.
The craziest one that I heard, and it was on a podcast that I do elsewhere called the Fex Insights podcast, because we've got another sponsor there for the venue, but it is tokenizing the chemical compounds for certain wines because they're rarer. So I don't know who's going to pay for that, but in any case, someone will.
So the tokens burn when you drink the wine, or what's it?
It's a different one. So we did have something like that where it was like smart. We had Raoul Pal in town last year, Real Vision guys, Raoul Pal. And it was like a project DVIN, DVIN, where as soon as you open up the bottle of wine, there's an RFID code. So it recognizes when it's consumed and there's something rewarded, because a lot of these expensive wines just don't get used and you don't track them. Anyway.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. And it kind of goes back to the two things that people tend to have a focus on when they're tokenizing. I think that 99% of people think about liquidity. And then you have another 1% that thinks about utility. And if we go back to the two main asset classes, if you take two extremes being fixed income versus equities, and let's assume that we talk about equities that don't pay any dividends, then you have very different liquidity profiles there and also very different utilities for both, right? So if you're tokenizing an equity, the reason why you create an equity in the very first place, not from the capital raising point of view, but from the investor point of view, is because you expect someone else to buy it from you, which means that a primary market requires a secondary market. Otherwise, there's no reason for it to exist. And therefore, liquidity is much more important. Fixed income is different. Fixed income is, you can actually have a very healthy fixed income market without a secondary market, because the reason you get into it is because you want to park cash, and you know that you're getting your cash back after a period of time, and you're going to be earning interest. So it is a utility, right? So when you're tokenizing fixed income, what you kind of care about is making the process of creating the asset better. So you're fixing only one value chain as opposed to fixing an entire market, which is what's necessary on the equity side. And funnily enough, the fixed income market is actually quite opaque. If you think that equities are opaque, fixed income is even worse. It's very rare to even have a scenario where you, as the issuer of a bond, actually know who the end holder of a bond is, because there's so many steps there in between. And you also have a lot of fragmentation of liquidity pools. So a lot of these bonds, they trade on bank balance sheets or bank trading venues, and they'll interconnect, but there still isn't a super healthy market like maybe I shouldn't say healthy. There isn't a super big market like the ASX that is focused only on equities in the same way as you wouldn't find that for fixed income, right?
Was that a bit of shade thrown at TradFi there?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I've never seen an outage on a TradFi Rails. Anyway, used to work with ASX, so you can ask me all the questions that you want, folks. Some really interesting insights that you will have from actually doing this project, because it's real money. It's with partners that actually want to do something to test blockchain, so it's more likely there will be real blockchain outcomes, as in putting parts of the payment rails, putting parts of blockchain for efficiency in a whole lot of these. Having looked at like some of the other projects that are out there, yes, there's a whole lot of fixed income ones, but you've mentioned this before in previous episodes of podcasts and also meetups, but this concept of a reference use case. What do you mean by that? Why is a project like this important for the future of the blockchain industry, even globally?
I was saying reference implementation, taking the term from basically from tech, where you have a new idea, a new standard, and because in tech you usually write code, then you don't need to have a standard that people follow. You actually just write the code and you say, well, here's a way in which this idea can work. So I don't know, SQL is a really good example, right? SQL is it's a language, it's a standard, and you have multiple databases that are SQL compliant. So the first time you create SQL as a standard for people to actually use it, you build out a reference implementation. People could then download it, put it to work, and it actually adds value from day one, right? Similar case here in what we're doing with Project Acacia in multiple different ways. It's about effectively creating actual source code, an actual workflow that allows people to tokenize the fixed income asset or to trade a fixed income asset. And then we don't need to hypothesize over how it could work. You actually see it work in a pilot form with source code, which is one of the incredible things that blockchain does, right? It transforms the finance space into from a human workflow problem where you send emails back and forth and you balance Excel sheets to an actual engineering problem, because a lot of what you're doing is smart contracts and things that you can properly unit test and so forth. There's a question there in the back.
Shout out.
Yeah, it wasn't I was nice question.
Is there one there? Okay, there is. Go ahead, Mike. Mike with the mic. That was not planted at all. That is just how it worked out, folks. Go ahead. I'll just shout it out. I'll repeat it.
I was more curious about your experiences with Project Acacia. So you use the scenario of running SQL and you can port it over to anywhere and it will just run. Given that the fact that blockchain is supposed to be decentralized, Project Acacia is we know the counterparties, here's the boundaries of where it's going to run. How do you know that these are going to actually work outside? Is it not the case that there might be written to a database? Because you know all the counterparties, it's commissioned, isn't it?
So
it's testing scenario.
yeah.
All three know is like be fighting code on my laptop, going, internet broke to my laptop, it must work on.
How do we know it's going to work in real life?
Yeah,
Put him
a
like
good question. No, it's a good question. And I have been speaking a lot about code because I'm a geek. A lot of the work that happens is about making sure that we know how to write legal contracts so that the code that is written has offers rights and obligations to the participants that are using them for financial purposes, right? So if you have a loan, you could tokenize the loan, but the loan is worthless unless the legals of that loan make it so that the token has value or has that right, right? Most of the world works on credit, so it's not funded, which means that the world works on the basis of promises, which then means that the world works and requires legal agreements to be in place. So code is not law. Law is law, and legal agreements are that representation. And then if we go back to, well, we're tokenizing bonds, the question is really, what is it that we're trying to achieve? So we can have a bond register for the purposes of showing who owns what. We want to know who owns what, also because we want to know who we're paying dividends to and how, right? So as we go through these processes with real money and the regulators are involved and everybody's, crossing T's and dotting I's, then it's also about making sure that those legal contracts, when you buy the bond, say that me as the buyer of the bond can transfer this bond, and then that transfer is executed by just a technological transfer, right? So in principle, the real world doesn't really care about the technology. It really cares about, is it legally compliant? And that's part of this exercise. The second question is, well, technological robustness, production. Is it, can you use it in production? And I think that the nice thing is that a lot of the work that is being done is using existing standards and technologies like Aave pools or sometimes even Uniswap pools. So that has actually been tested. So it's actually really, really interesting, right? You can actually point and say, well, procurement, okay, this thing has actually passed a few $1 trillion worth of trades through it. So it kind of works. We're doing exactly the same thing, but for this specific use case here.
And it's just building on the continued, advancements from before. We do need to we'll let you bring up a question, and then we'll get to the next presenters soon after that. Please go ahead.
Yeah. It sounds like this starts looking like a bearable, right? So how you differentiate that? And then do you have this issue or someone has to custody the asset, then that becomes the point of failure?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Do you want to explain what bearer bonds are?
Yes. So a bearer bond is it's effectively an obligation where you when I transfer that obligation to somebody else physically, I take this piece of paper and I give it to Mark, then all of a sudden Mark becomes the beneficiary of that thing, of the future payment or the asset itself. But there's a very important technical piece in that, which is that a bearer bond does not have a register. Every single tokenized asset, by definition, has a register because it is the register. So the only way in which you could potentially make a tokenized asset a bearer bond is the only way in which you don't use it, which is by giving away the private key.
Don't give away your private key, folks.
So if I have a USB stick, for example, with private keys for 1 million tokens, and I give that to him, that is a bearer. That's how I use the token as a bearer instrument, but nobody does that. So they're not bearer instruments, which means that the custody question is much easier to deal with, because you either just self-custody and people know that it's you, or you give custody to somebody else to do it for you.
There's a lot of really interesting insights, and we've got a website, which I'll bring up later on if we get time, that showcases our particular use case. What you see on screen is the description from the Digital Finance Cooperative Research Center, just the FCRC, I should keep saying that, about what all the others are doing. But we've got one that walks through more detail with our partners, like where does Australian Bond Exchange come in? Where does Fireblocks, what does Red Belly provide as part of the infrastructure layer, et cetera, et cetera. I will share that later on. And there's going to be a whole lot more news about this. But if you've got any questions, please hound him later on. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, up on stage next, if we could get Ian from BLOCKv. Right, okay. I'm going to get you up here because you're going to click.
I'm going to present.
You're a presenter. Yeah. I'm gonna be the Arturo in this sense and just ask you a few questions.
Actually, there's quite a bit you're going to be able to help me on this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Fantastic. Guys, this is Ian from BLOCKv, our co-founder, infrastructure provider, doing a whole heap of some of the last meetups and one of the sponsors as well. So thank you, Ian.
No worries. Thank you, Mark.
Just want to move the mic closer to you there. Hang on, I'll sort that. Yeah. Oh, good. There you go. Alrighty, so just moving along. So what is going on in the space? How are you guys going?
Yeah, really well, actually. Got some slides to go through. I mean, there was quite a few I recognised from the last session, so I won't go and labour too much on regards to what we do and what we've been doing to this point. It's really about our next steps and what we are going to be introducing into the ecosystem over the next couple of months. We're really excited in regards to what that looks like in regards to AI and the availability and the democratization of our technology to builders with technology skills and without. And that's really what we're trying to achieve.
Who's using AI here in personal, day-to-day, etc.? A whole lot of you. Who's interested in blockchain and AI convergence and how that comes together? Okay, great. Good to note. Please continue.
Awesome. Yeah, all right, sure. A little bit about us again. We've been in around since 2017. Tokenization platform. We create smart NFTs that are programmable digital assets. Do all sorts of things and have all sorts of different types of use cases. So from events and ticketing all the way through to redeemable coupons. Work with some really big brands such as Visa, Pepsi, and did the loyalty and rewards program for the Olympics through our partner Smart Media Tech. So we've got quite a bit of credibility in the space. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah.
There we go. Just a little bit about why it's a Web3 operating system. So it's enterprise grade at scale. So we've minted over 50 million smart NFTs to over 11, nearly 12 million wallets. What we do really well is we sort of abstract all the complexity around Web3 applications and that friction for the end user. We do this by creating a layered architecture across three stacks, essentially an application tier, tokenization tier, and then a foundation layer. One of the key benefits of the technology is that we can integrate with multi-chain, so it's essentially layer one agnostic. We also provide our own layer one, layer two infrastructure, but if it's a requirement to be on, say, Polygon or Solana, we can facilitate that. I'm terrible at this sort of.
That's okay.
Back.
Oh, good. It's my laptop. I'll blame it on that.
Yeah. So a little bit more about what we talked about there. Dynamic smart NFTs are really programmable assets, and they can be anything like I mentioned, loyalty and tokenized assets for Visa, all the way through to a partner in Germany that's doing digital product passports in the EU, where there are a digital twin of physical products, chairs, tables, and clothing, which is becoming an industry standard and a rule and regulation in the EU in 2027.
Oh, what's the regulation there?
So it's going to be, you're going to have proof provenance of your product, where it was manufactured, the materials in that product, to try and increase this reusability of product rather than just being thrown away and put in the garbage. So it's really about trying to create longer lasting products that are way more reusable. So a table that can be used generation after generation, and really sort of try and introduce that into the supply chain and the ecosystem.
Fantastic.
This is sort of more where we're sort of looking at where we're changing and what we're introducing. And this might be something that you can help me with, Mark, around the ideas guide concept in startup technology. And it's really about this sort of a joke around the ideas guy, someone that's got all the ideas but has no skills whatsoever. So as they come in, try and build a team and really get ridiculed. And we feel that that's the time that's going to end. And I think this challenge really exists extensively in Web3 because of the complexities. And really the people that sort of take advantage in this space are technologists. And I think there's a lot of people with really fantastic tokenization ideas that really just get left behind at this point in time. So I think this convergence of AI and the ability to, let's call vibe code, that some people might think that's quite a bit of a dirty word, but really you can start to prototype and get ideas out really quickly.
I'm definitely not against vibe coding if you know exactly like what you're doing with AI tools and having AI to assist you with smart contracts and blockchain technology creation. You might have knowledge of frameworks, or maybe even the AI helps you to make sure that you're steered in the right direction. You can get good outcomes. So whilst it is a dirty word, a derogatory kind of term, it's the incumbents that say that. And there are things that are being improved in the space where we've already seen it with AI helping make, the Aus DeFi website is vibe coded. I'll be honest, it was vibe coded, yet there is a whole heap of interesting technologies to make sure that we've got the right kind of like row level security for databases, the right kind of guardrails for the AI, the right kind of things that are being built and passed through it so that you can actually do something well. They're so glad to see that you guys are trying to do that in the blockchain space as well. What have we got here?
Yeah, sure. So it's going to be an AI first platform at its core, and that's going to enable faster and easier development and build time. So we'll be able to create AI assisted workflows, and that's going to create more intuitive experiences for what can be tokenized. So it really comes down to ideas now. What do you want to tokenize? What do you take on? What's your industry? You mentioned before around wine and the Divin as an example, but there's a myriad of in regards to supply chains and various industries. We will be creating a BLOCKv MCP server for devs, both. If you want to really
hands up who's heard of MCP, or who doesn't know what MCP is. Put your hands up. Most people. Imagine like you've got APIs right now, which are a way that different systems and databases and technologies can connect together. MCPs are a common standard for AI to just help you connect to Xero, AI to help you connect to your Gmail. So having MCPs allows you to utilize AI tools, and they were already easy, but it's making it easier.
Yeah, and that's machine context protocol. So if you think about SMTP, about an email as a standard, it's the way that agents will be able to interface with your services without really having to go off and look at an API documentation and what. So really sort of simplifying that interface to agents. And then finally, more of a low level, there'll still be an API, a rich set of APIs available for devs as well. We're also updating our architecture to become more decentralized. I'm not going to go through the bits and pieces here because we haven't really got time, but it's really around those three core layers: the foundation, tokenization, and application tiers. And it's really around how we've always had. There's always been a compromise on speed versus decentralization, and lots of what's trying to think of the word now. Compromises that we've constantly had to make in regards to how our technology is run. And as the technology in this space has improved and increasing its ability to do certain things, we've been able to really build out a completely decentralized stack, whereas before there were parts that weren't. And that was not such a problem when we had enterprise clients that were more keen to be more permissioned. As we want to open this out, it has to be far more decentralized.
Any question from the audience just while we're here? We've got a few more slides to go. Oh yeah,
No?
There might be some later on.
Yeah, for sure.
So, by the way, if you go to right now on your phone, defi.org.au and log in, you can find the events. I'll figure out a prize for whoever asks the best question. There's a UX question for me. Top right, there should be a menu. Hamburger kind of icon 3. I'll come and see you soon.
I won the prize.
Huh?
I think you did actually. That was an expression.
Yeah, actually, yeah. That was good. We'll figure out 2 prizes. Anyway, let's continue. What do you got here?
Yeah, no, just in regards to some of the things that we're releasing as well, extensive docs, our BLOCKv console, which is essentially how you'll be able to create all of these of your assets and your instances. And we've got an open source wallet for those consumer facing applications. So just a couple of things just to sort of finish off really about the types of use cases that if you want to think about what you could use our technology for. All of the, like I mentioned, those digital passports for products, to sort of to state where it was issued, who was issuer, the holding info, all those sorts of things, all the way through to say this supply chain provenance, who owns the product, where is it, and where it's going to get to ultimately is products are going to be able to capture their IoT data and far more real-time information inside the asset, which would be the token. Ticketing, it's a fantastic product to use if you want to do any ticketing, NFT ticketing. Really straightforward to be able to release that using our technology. Yeah, that's pretty much the update. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Any questions, folks, while we're here, or we'll get to the next one? We'll update you if there are any questions that come through. Thank you so much, Ian.
Thanks, everyone.
And this is the kind of thing about building live. I will show you what the thing looks like later on. I'll bring it up on screen. But I just found, is this working? Test. Is that working? Okay, I don't know what's happened here. Test, check. Test. Hello. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. It's on. Sorry about that. Yeah, just found out that on the mobile version of the app, you got to kind of like scroll up a little bit. It might go a bit off screen. Just try that again, but I'll get it fixed so there's actually a scroll. Too many things on the menu. So that's probably my fault there. But yeah, you'll be able to check that out later, but I will show you. We're going to get an update now from James from BLOCKv, and then we're going to go to our major announcement next, plus some other updates. Thanks for joining in so far. The networking is going to start soon after that. James from BLOCKv, come on down. Do you want up here or? Yeah, come up here. Let's go. Come on down.
You asked me to come, so
I know I did.
what do you want me to say?
Anything and everything.
Wow, Aus DeFi is amazing.
Yeah. Not a paid shill, but no. James and BLOCKv were some sponsors of us in the early days, and it's been great seeing you guys go from strength to strength. I've just put a few things up on screen there, so appearances in the AFR for some great new innovations that they've got, as well as one of the ads. How much Bitcoins buy a home, James?
All right, I guess I'll give a quick rundown on these. Firstly, it's pretty amazing to see the growth of Aus DeFi. Mate, you guys have been on the grind for years, so well done. It's so good. Thanks for what you do. Thank you. Cheers. Yeah, I used to come to these and there was like 3 or 4 people, so.
And he was one of them, so yeah.
Yeah, so look, obviously that's me and Charlie there. So we run BLOCKv together. And so what we do is we're a crypto-backed lender, and we do it in a app-enabled manner, right? So anybody can get a crypto-backed loan from their phone, from the pocket. And our whole business is about breaking assumptions that the traditional lending market has created. So things like we can write from $50 to $5 million instantly in the app. And that's like a pretty cool thing to say, right? Like we have people that have literally bought homes after applying in the morning. They get the money at lunchtime and go and settle on a house, right? So that's pretty cool. But we just closed our Series A round. So I guess...
Congratulations.
Mark. Thank you.
Drinks are on Jane. No.
I guess, look, I was thinking about what I'd talk about, and something that's useful is I wanted to say I was like, just like you guys, just like the early businesses in the room, or perhaps you're just here and curious. I was you for years. Like I first started coming to these in like 2020 or whenever they first spun up. And now I'm like standing here talking about a Series A, right? So the important thing is you stay adjacent to the industry, and whatever your idea is, just don't stop doing it. Because we did a podcast the other day talking about this actually, where we were handed non-stop grenades for like 2 or 3 years, and more often than not, the pin was taken out of the grenade, right? So it's all about just like If your belief is genuinely, it's cliche as, but if your belief is strong enough in what you're doing, you're probably right. Right? It's just you might be the timing might be off, or the market conditions might be difficult, or regulation might be slow, or whatever the reason is. I think as soon as you start to doubt your idea, you're starting to walk down the path of closing the doors. So don't do that.
Don't stop believing. You heard it.
I do want to talk about this home bit because I'm sure people will ask. So we're just about to launch home loans, and what that means is you can use Bitcoin in place of Australian dollars as the deposit component on your home. And that's also a cool thing to be able to say, right? So you maintain your Bitcoin exposure. Our business is literally built to help you maintain your crypto exposure and not sell it. And so imagine $1 million home, you might have 300K in Bitcoin as using rough numbers. You post that Bitcoin with Block Owner and you walk away with a mortgage. Right. And we go end to end. So we have a lender on the background that takes the security over the home. We don't do that. We just take security over the Bitcoin. And you end up in the property market without losing your Bitcoin exposure. And I reckon that's pretty exciting.
That's not too bad. If anyone is interested in more of that, then definitely like hit you up after. But you'll see, James like walking around doing these cool ads, walking around Martin Place. If you follow him on LinkedIn, you'll see some impromptu stuff there. Just try to get in the background like you do with reporters and stuff. And I'd hopefully some people from this room are in the next kind of ads and stuff. Are you going to do more of those?
Yeah, look, now we're in the same room. You're all going to be served with non-stop ads. So I hope you like the look of my head. But
Thank you, Google,
yeah,
for doing that. Like as soon as someone talks, the phones are listening. We know, right? So prepare for it, folks. There's a question over here. Oh, no. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
I think that what you guys have done is incredible, first of all. And one of the things that makes it incredible is that you're not only tokenizing, like you've taken the further step of actually bringing Bitcoin into TradFi.
That was the whole vision all along, yeah.
So how would you describe walking into a room of TradFi and not only talking about tokens, but saying Bitcoin is the collateral, which, by the way, I think is the best collateral that exists.
Yeah. Look, we get this all the time, right? So we're often asked things like, the conversations with lenders changing over the years, and how is the general like traditional finance landscape towards crypto shifting? And look, we if I'm really honest, I actually don't really think it's shifting nearly as quickly as people think. I just think we're way better at talking about it. I just think the people that are in it have gotten way better at normalizing the conversation rather than talking about some like super esoteric asset class, which is about like self-sovereignty and no censorship. Like imagine you walk into a room with like, I've done it with like 12 bankers, right? And they're just like, Bitcoin's the enemy. And I go, no, but self-sovereignty is cool, right? What do you think they're going to say, right? So, what was your question?
I think that you're kind of answering it. Right. How is it to walk into a room with bankers and actually talk about Bitcoin and make it work?
Yeah. So sorry, I remember now. So we collateralize Bitcoin, and the thing that's gotten the most traction for us is you collateralize things every day, right? So people borrow against their car, like people get car loans, home loans, obviously. Credit cards is a form of collateral over your personal credit record, right? So there's all sorts of different collateral that we're so used to. But no, the one that you can trade 24/7 in 150 currencies, 365 days per year, instantly. No, that's the one with the problem, right? Like I don't really, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So as soon as you let people open-minded, granted, people under the hood, it's quite an obvious decision. Right. So that's what we got really good at. We got really good at just talking about the pristine nature of blockchain assets, especially Bitcoin, right? But more to come, like maybe XRP, if there's people in the room that are interested. So look, the liquidity of the collateral is ultimately the value of the collateral at the end of the day, right? If people decided cars are worthless, then people would stop lending against cars. It's just the utility they provide, and that's why people take value in that collateral. So we can point to the liquidity of Bitcoin every single second, every day. Like our system, we just went through some upgrades recently, so we're like repricing the collateral 3 times every minute now. And so imagine saying to a bank, right, oh, if you want to repossess a home or repossess a car, you get to reprice it every 3 times every minute, right? They go, oh shit, how is that? Like, I'd write loans against that. So there's a learning curve and there's a journey, but it's been an inspirational one so far. This raise we've done unlocks some really, really exciting stuff. Like, it legitimizes the business. Like Mark said, you don't get in the financial review every day, so it's great to get that sort of legitimacy and attention. And I really wish I was in a better place to say who's lending us the money for the home loans, but I can't yet. But you've heard of them, and the rate's going to be like the market rate. So you'll essentially get a mortgage for the market rate. So it's a really exciting time for us. It's awesome.
We've got Jonah here, and go on, Jonathan. Go on, Johnny.
You lose the bet with Charlie. Is that why you're wearing a suit?
What do you mean? He's also wearing one, isn't he?
No, he's not wearing a suit.
He has got jeans on.
Second question is, what happens when Bitcoin falls by their confidence?
Oh, value. Why is someone always got to say this, right? No, of course we've thought about this, right? Wait, what? I never thought about this.
Also, transparency is I use Maven now.
Yeah.
And that really hurt. So, tell me why I should use you guys.
Yeah, look, totally fair points. So, tee up. Look, so, like, what Arturo was saying is trying to blend the worlds is a really difficult thing to do. And so, essentially, our product is trying to emulate the DeFi experience, which is like the instant loans, flexibility, all that, but for the traditional finance landscape, right? So with doing that, the traditional finance landscape comes with all sorts of protections you don't get in DeFi, right? So if your asset starts to fall, no one calls you, right? If you've got an Aave position, it's just like, see ya, no one calls you. And that's the worst part of DeFi, right? So that's the piece we're trying to remove and bring in the good bits of traditional finance. So what actually happens, to answer your question, is you get 30 days. So we give you 30 days notice, which is the longest margin call I've ever heard of. And so if Bitcoin starts to fall and your LVR goes over 60%, we say, hey, Jono, you've got 30 days to manage your position. And that means you bring it to 55% or below. And you can do that by paying some cash or depositing some more Bitcoins. Shut up. But the interestingly for the home loans, because it's a much bigger purchase, we think people will use a much larger portion of their Bitcoin stack. It works slightly differently. So we actually have like a liquidation protection product as well. So it'll be slightly more, to be frank, but it's essentially a toggle. You toggle it on, and there's no margin call for the entire term. And how we do that is we've got pretty sophisticated options and hedging strategies in the background to bring it all to life.
Fantastic. And Margin Call is a great movie for anyone that hasn't seen it. And there definitely wasn't 30 days to get that stuff sorted. It was literally overnight. Yes, question for Leah.
I was going to ask about
Same thing.
It's a very original question.
Yeah. Look, we obviously get it all the time, but people want to protect their Bitcoin, so it's fair enough.
And one more before we go to the next one. Professor Ron.
Situation, if there's a large amount of equity in the house itself, and Bitcoin drops precipitously, then how's that now?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one we are exploring. Right now, block owner takes no security over the home, right? So if your Bitcoin value falls, that's block owner's problem, and it doesn't affect your mortgage. Your mortgage is just ticking away as though it is an ordinary loan. If you want to release value out of your home, if the value's gone up or you've built equity to maintain your loan with us, that's the thing we're exploring. So we're exploring, so home loans are like 4 hours to go from cold, you've never interacted with us, to approved and getting a home loan. I think that's pretty epic. But we think refinancing could be even faster. So we're working on like an instant refinance option. So Imagine the circumstance you're talking about. If Bitcoin's fallen in value, you want to opportunistically buy or you want to reduce your LVR. Imagine like an instant equity release on your home to buy some Bitcoin. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
It's a grand statement, like, and it's totally fair. But honestly, it's the only way you actually make things like this. You got to aim so far, and then you end up somewhere close, right?
We're going to have to round it out there.
No, I'll just stay for one more second. No,
okay. But thank you, James. All right, the moment you've all been waiting for and probably figured out. But major sponsor announcements. Drum roll. Any drum roll? Can we do drum roll? Yeah, there we go. That'll be good enough. Welcome Kraken as the new major sponsor for Aus DeFi for now and into 2026. So I've got Stephen and Jonathon from Team Kraken up here. If you guys want to come up on stage, I'll get you to share a mic. Come on down.
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone. So firstly, just like apologies. I haven't been at this meetup for ages, and that is just like all on me. It's like pure laziness, and I thoroughly regret it because it's just been so good. Even just like having some conversations tonight, you just learn. I've just learned so much already tonight in just like 1 hour. And you know, I used to go to meetups back in 2014 when I first got into crypto, just some time ago. Bitcoin meetups down in the Star Wars bar on York Street. You know that one? Did you ever go to that one? Oh my God, amazing.
Used to go to Hotel Harry for blockchain Sydney events.
Yeah. This is well before that. And but at that meetup, I met someone who was a core contributor to Ethereum, like before Ethereum existed. I met people who were like writing Bitcoin improvement protocol proposals. I met people who were just batshit crazy. And yeah, it was amazing. So yeah, I'm Jono. I'm from Kraken. This is Stephen. I'll let Stephen intro himself.
Hey guys, Stephen from Kraken. Yeah, I was like echo what John was saying in terms of just coming here and like meeting people and like learning so much in such a short time. And yeah, it's like great for us to, I think, give back and help Mark out in doing the great job that you're actually doing. It's really amazing.
What does it mean for you to like be part of like the community stuff? Now we spoke about innovation and trying to bring more, getting back to the roots of blockchain, that it is about that technology and the innovative things that are happening there. What is kind of being part of it and sharing those things to the community? What I mean?
Just learning actually. But I think one of the really big goals here is to make sure Aus DeFi really is Oz. So Mark will probably talk about this more, but we're just making sure that there's events in Melbourne, in Perth, in South Australia. So Aus DeFi is going Oz. And I think that's really like critical to just hear what's happening in Australia, not just in Sydney, which is really cool. I know you guys have been doing that for some time, but it's going to try and supercharge that. That's really the goal, is to just get more and more engagement just in DeFi. But in terms of, I guess, from like, if I speak as Kraken now, so Kraken does a whole bunch of really kind of wacky stuff that doesn't happen in Australia as much. I was talking to James about tokenized equities. We've got a L2 called Inky. We're going to try and do some stuff here, like in this room, in these rooms throughout the course of the year. Not like overloaded or anything, but just by every now and then, if there's something interesting, hopefully we'll be able to share a bit more about that, get people to use it or come up with ways to interact. But I think innovation is about idea sharing and getting inspired. And that's what's so cool. Like just watching James talk about what he's doing. It's just like fantastic idea, amazing execution. It just gets you so excited about doing stuff. And so yeah, that's what it's all about.
We're going to be doing a whole lot more interactivity. Yes, there's a whole lot of like things like the merch. That's all great, but I think that there's going to be a lot more value in terms of activations. It means connecting people that have ideas, as was mentioned before by Ian, the ideas guy or girl or person, and to the people that either can fund it or the people that can help build it or the people that can help support it. There's a whole lot of cool stuff out there that we're going to be able to get to do together with Kraken. So this, for me, is massively important that we have a major sponsor like this. So I just wanted to say thank you, guys.
No, thank you. Yeah, and thanks everyone. Good to say.
Peace. Okay.
Hey, couple.
Okay, so I'm going to get to swap mics here. Sorry. There we go. So interactive portion, then we'll get to the cool networking side of things. Let's jump over to here. Yes, we can see the screen. So on the mobile, the menu wasn't working because it's auto opening the categories here. So just if you close the categories, if you try it on your mobile, you will see this sign in or join now page. Let's just create a brand new user so you can see what you get as part of it. I'll just do this. I'll use my NotCentralised, one of the sub accounts here. Let's log in. When you first are the user already registered, so let's just sign in. This user hasn't completed their bio yet, so just give it a name. I'll give it a cool name, something like that. So that should do. Can you see that on screen? Yeah, you can. Okay, cool. So tell us about yourself. I like blockchain, blah, blah, blah. You can do things like, what's your company? Let's go NC2. What's your role? Big boss. How many years have you been in the DeFi space? I don't know, 20. Imagine someone said that. You know those like LinkedIn profile things and jobs where it's like 20 years of experience in blah and it's only been around for a year? Yeah, that kind of stuff. Other interests there, you can put that. Now, what you've got here, the experience for the logged in, I'll show you the logged out version. There's some really cool stuff for that, but I'm trying to activate more of the logged in experience, and you'll be able to connect to members. Community doesn't do anything just yet, but you'll see other members. Resources doesn't do anything yet, but you can go to the events page. Yeah, almost there. Look, guys, I did this over the weekend, so come on. But here is the meetup. So we'll have more of the events as we do them throughout the year with Kraken. You've got the different speakers here. So here's a bit about Jonathon. I just grabbed this off your LinkedIn. So if it had more detail, I would have put more detail. As opposed to we see Stephen, look at that. That's a good amount of detail there. So you can see links to their website, their LinkedIn. If there is a Twitter that I know of, Stephen, I didn't know yours, but please tell me after. Here's Ian. Here's Lisa, who spoke earlier. Some cool stuff there. Anna is there, Arturo, myself. But you'll be able to see the different speakers. And the cool thing is, there's a question. What did you learn tonight, Mark? I don't know. Come see me after class. I learned that there's a lot of like really interesting insights and ideas. A lot of interesting insights and ideas coming from the space when you collaborate. The cool thing about meetups like this is that, yes, you get a lot of innovation and stuff happening there, but it's the before the meetup, the during the meetup, and that's where the most kind of thing happens. Then after, not much. We started Aus DeFi as a way to connect people beyond just the meetup. So I'm trying to go back to that. The questions that you ask here, there's going to be the presentation materials, obviously after checking with the speakers that it's okay, will be shown here as well. And we're going to have AI sitting over the top. So if there was anything you didn't understand, or have AI generate summaries, or have AI help you ask questions. So that's one thing. We already have, let me go back to the dashboard. We have an AI thing here where I'm starting to piece together, and I'll make the UI a bit better with this. But for example, the RBA put out their Project Acacia use case summaries. And I'll say, give me a high level. AI doesn't care if you misspell of these use cases. And we'll use AI to basically just give you those summaries of these research papers. There's a research paper on stablecoins from the guys at Standard Chartered that just shared. So here's, some interesting stuff that is getting AI to help us out understand more about the blockchain space. So all of that's there in the logged in experience. If I just sign out, you already get some of this cool stuff in the logged out experience. So first of all, with media, let's go to the podcast, for example, which we've been running. Here is Lisa and the crew at Fableration. So whilst you're watching the podcast, and that's going to play in the background, I can either ask a question, tell me about what Fableration, again, spelling, I'm great, is like I'm 5 years old, and I'm typing like I'm 5 years old. So you'll see that there. And yeah, getting those simple, quick, easy to understand explanations on the videos for the meetups or the podcast. That's one thing that's in the free part. Sorry, it's all free. It's all free in the logged out part. The other things that we're doing is something we're calling Project Groundswell, just helping for advocacy. So one thing you could do was write a letter to one of your ministers, for example. So who's representative? Say Andrew Charlton. Okay, so he's minister, Australian Parliament. I don't care about the spelling. It's fine. Spelling is optional, isn't it? What do you want to say? Blockchain is good. Sheep are bad. Sheep are bad. There we go. That's better. So I want to propose not new regulation. I want to share industry insights. I'm a developer, economic benefits, public benefits. I want it to be informal, short, less technical, and I want analogies there. I did the sheep one because AI is really great at taking something and finding the semantic context about it. Once you've done that, you can generate a letter. So what's it going to say? Blah, blah, blah about blockchain technology. Does it say anything about the sheep there? I can't find it. Does anyone see it? There you go. Yeah. So it uses those concepts. It can bring it together. So just go ham and do whatever. Other cool things that we can do apart from the letters. Pathfinder is if you're new to the space and you're trying to find a way, what can you do? What are the things you should learn about? My background is in marketing. What's your current role? Marketing head of a Web2 business. I am not technical. I've got maybe some basic understanding and program experience. I've got a few blockchain topics I know about. My primary goal is to understand the tech. And here, it's going to take a few more seconds, but it's still pretty fast for AI. It will build out a bit of a learning path for you and see blockchain use cases in marketing. So this will then generate some cool concepts and some other things, some really cool stuff that you can do in that logged out experience. If anyone wants to know how to do this kind of stuff for the websites that you guys are building, creating, doing for your own companies, we can also help out with that because we do AI stuff too. Some of the other things, you can get it to explain crypto to a loved one, for example, or a friend. So let's say DeFi. I'm talking to friends. They are very beginner. They are very skeptical. I want it to be comedy gold. Let's get it. So I'm in blame. All right, friends, gather around. No, you're never going to talk like that to your friends, or maybe you will. But yeah, you've got a little bit of this explanation kind of stuff when you piece together AI to help out in this way. Some other cool stuff on there. I implore you to check out defi.org.au, the logged out experience like you're seeing here, but also the logged in part where we're going to be doing a whole lot more around events, helping connect people, helping connect businesses, and just even helping to reward you for being part of this ecosystem. So watch this space on defi.org.au. I will just get back to the announcements and finish up, and we'll get back to the networking. We're on time for once, which is great. Our sponsors and friends at Jelly C have some of their updates as well. They were recognized as Best Fund Manager at the Australian Wealth Management Awards. So really cool there. Even finalists in some Executive of the Year and Wealth Management Business of the Year awards. And you can see there that they were named as Best Fund Manager in the crypto space beyond some of the traditional ones from like Van Eck and Global X and Merkle Tree Capital. So really interesting there. Follow Jelly C. Hands up if you've heard of Stand with Crypto, that movement. Okay, a few of you. For those that haven't, this is something that started out of the States. The guys at Coinbase were behind it, but it was helping to create a bit of an advocacy kind of group. You sign up to that, you get different access to assets. They've got a whole politicians kind of scorecard, more for the US than Australia, but it's interesting to see here in Australia who is friendly towards crypto and who is non-friendly versus neutral. So if there's something that's being said by politicians online, they are tracking it for the US and here, and I think starting with the UK as well. But we definitely have a politician score for the Australian element. But you scan that QR code, you become one of the members. Aus DeFi is part of that movement, and they're really doing some great stuff. And you can see some of the others here, Australian DeFi Association, Digital Economy Council, DECA, all things blockchain that are doing great events up in Queensland, and Take 3 and Upside. I just had my mug on LinkedIn doing a little promo video for them as well. So some cool stuff that they're going to be doing. We did one event here late last year or maybe the year before about this. I think it was late last year. So really cool stuff. Finally, the links. So if you missed out on anything, you can come see me and I'll help you out with that. If you want to connect with people, reach out, etc. Our links are all on here. I thank you so much. I thank Kraken. I thank all of our lovely and awesome speakers, except for Arturo. And I just want to say that if anyone is interested in, finding out more about these events and presenting or doing stuff, whether you're in Sydney, like the guy said, Melbourne, Adelaide even, and Perth. Sorry, Perth. I almost lost you there, but we're going to be doing some cool stuff there. Thank you so much for coming, and let's get back to networking. If there's pizzas there, eat it all up in the garlic bread. Thanks.